Transvestigation. It's been a long time since I've made a video on this topic, but I've just been thinking about it a lot, and maybe there's some people that are just now waking up to this sort of thing, or recently, meaning the past couple of years, because just as a topic, transvestigation has kind of faded away. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't have any truth to it, or that it's not interesting. It's just, you know how things are. They come and go in waves. And there was just a huge transvestigation boom whenever I started making YouTube videos. That's the only reason that I even have a channel, really. And it's just so personal to me, but it's really personal to everybody. That's the biggest thing about transvestigation, is to stop wasting your time making it a outing transgender witch hunt with famous people. It's just a giant waste of time. And guess what? They already all know that you're not informing really anybody of anything new when you pick one more Hollywood person or famous person and go, oh, look, they're switch skeleton. Yeah, they all are. But it's so much more important than that, that it's everywhere, all around you. The fact that society is built in such a way to have parallel societies. I think that is the most important thing, is that anybody who lives their life not knowing transvestigation, they're getting a whole different life experience than people who are told when they're young, psst, did you know that all the girl actors are really dudes? And that's all it takes. Hey, look at their hands. Watch their hands. It's a little stuff like this behind a closed door that will totally change the way that you live life. It's the difference between being a muggle and being a wizard. So skeleton in the closet, one of the things that they love to do, them. Who is they? Well, tell me today the types of people that go by they. It makes me think of Legion too. Like, what is people calling themselves by this potentially multiple people ambiguous pronouns thing just is so weird to me. But then if you understand transvestigation, you understand why everybody knows people who are pruning out these days, and like why it's such a big thing. And what it is it's always been a big thing. I mean, go back to Nazi Germany. What were the books that the Nazis burned? This is nothing new. Okay, skeleton in the closet. What I want to tell you here is the second interpretation of this expression that we all know about. There is a second hidden meaning hidden in plain sight. And I've explained it before, but it just makes so much more sense. Why is it a skeleton in the closet? Why? What a strange... Especially because that would be very serious. If somebody had a skeleton in the closet, that would mean that they literally killed somebody and they're hiding the body in there. But you see that when people talk about skeletons in the closet, they're usually not talking about, oh, I killed somebody. It usually means, yeah, things you don't want out, but not so sinister as literally murdering people and hiding their skeleton in your closet. So the way that you want to read into the skeleton in the closet is actually using another expression, which is being in the closet about something. People who have skeletons in their closet, what it actually is that they are in the closet about their skeletons. And so what it means is there's all sorts of people out there with skeletons in their closet, or who are in the closet about their skeletons. Their dirty little secret literally is their skeleton. And that's another modus operandi of these people, is to hide the truth in plain sight. You know when you're looking in your pantry for something and you can't see it because it's literally right in front of your nose? That's why they tell you the secret is the skeleton. And that's why it's part of this expression. They're being very on the nose about it's the skeleton is the thing that they're in the closet about. The scary secret that they don't want out literally is their own skeleton, not that they murdered somebody else. Okay, so that's where this expression comes from. Why cheekbones? You will hear people talk all the time about cheekbones, and it's one of those things where there's people out there that they understand that bone structure is a very important thing in this place. And so just I'll say how this relates to me. Like, when I eventually woke up to Transvestigation, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Why people are so obsessed with talking about people's bone structure. Oh, if you go, and this works for anything, ballet. If you study ballet, you'll see how obsessed they are with describing the skeletons of people. It's all it's all about the lines. Well, what about a woman is a line? If you go study ballerinas, it's all about lines. Women are supposed to have curves, not lines. So if you understand transvestigation, you understand, oh, they're promoting this other thing. They're promoting transvestigation. That's why ballerinas are obsessed with lines and they're so bony and zero body fat. It's a different, and so I guess this is a point in time where I can kind of rectify some faults that maybe we have had in the past transvestigation witch hunt. Sure, some of those ballerinas probably do swing dong and they just tuck it back, but a lot of these people are intersex and they are born that way, and they have flipped sexual organs. That's it. That's the big secret of transvestigation, is that there's a lot of intersex people out there, and because their sexual organs more or less completely flip, if you don't understand bone structure, you would just never know. And so to kind of get into the brainwashing, you can't see the forest for the trees. They construct society in ways such as to hide this stuff while also openly talking about it all the time. The thing that is so obvious to me is the mixed messages that the media gives. Do you know how when you grow up, people are obsessed with pushing this notion of all shapes and sizes? Everybody comes in all shapes and sizes. But then when you look at the media, you're only seeing one shape and size, and the women that they're showing you are not natural women. They're not large-hipped, short torso, long legs, etc. This video is not to get into the specifics of the differences in skeleton between the way that God created man and women and what we see today with a bunch of intersex people. But the point is you see the contradictions. It can't be both. Humans cannot be born in all shapes and sizes and everybody's beautiful, but then the media only shows you women with giant jaws, huge heads, long necks, square shoulders. Where's all the shapes and sizes if you're completely missing the woman shape that is obvious to be a woman shape? It's totally neglected in the media, and that's part of the forest for the trees thing. It's like rather than try to make all the castrati like look like a natural woman, they just project this third, they make up their own thing and promote that instead. And then they just leave natural women not promoted in the media. So the only example of women in the media that you have is castrati. And yep, that's where you live. It's why, yeah. So back to the image here, cheekbones. The media is obsessed with bone structure. And it goes for the Martins too, constantly. You know, Scooby-Doo, how many, at least every episode, they ought to be talking about Fred's shoulders at some point in Scooby-Doo. Okay? The punchline of the joke is too often, it's a transgender. How many stories are there out there where the punchline of the joke is, it's a transgender? And art imitates life. This isn't, if being a transgender wasn't like a real life punchline all the time, then the media wouldn't constantly be making that joke. It's just not even that funny. But the reason it's funny is because it's true. You know how stuff that is true is more funny? It's funny because it's true. And that's why it's such a big meme in the media. And also, this just reminds me of how oftentimes you'll see, like, I know of multiple black actors or musicians who will try to be like, oh, they're trying to demasculinize me because I'm black, and that's why they're trying to put me in a dress or whatever. And it's like, dude, they do that for everybody. everybody gets forced to wear a dress in Hollywood. Not forced, but heavily persuaded. And if you can't stand up for yourself, you'll just get thrown to the side. Anyways, yeah, it's really not that funny to put men in dresses, but it's always forced because it's a big joke for this parallel society. There really is just too much to bring up at any one time. Like, what came to my mind right now, bosom buddies. Like, why is bosom buddies even a thing? Who agrees to make such a ridiculous production as bosom buddies? And then actors actually agree to go and do that? It's ridiculous. And, there's just a classic article. Just go look up on Google about how Kim Kardashian says that her dad is turning them into the biggest transgenders. Nobody says that unless it's true. That's not funny. It's not a joke. These people have just been constantly laughing in our faces, basically, laughing in people's faces who don't know. But again, not just celebrities, growing up. So if you haven't watched it already, I have a video. One of the very first and best Transvestigation videos was a letter from a subscriber. Somebody wrote me a letter kind of describing their childhood, and just to give you one example of this is she remembers being taunted on the playground, young boys coming up to her and saying, "You're a tranny." And it's like, how does that even exist? Why does a middle schooler or elementary schooler back in the 90s or whenever this person grew up, I don't know exactly, but what is with that? How does a little kid even know that, and then going and screaming it at somebody randomly? And those are the types of real life stories that everybody will have their own instances of people in their life doing weird things involving human anatomy, transgender. For example, like in high school, I remember multiple people thinking it was such a funny joke to talk about being lesbians trapped inside men's bodies. And okay, haha, now I get the joke. I remember in middle school people talking about digit ratio before I knew what that was. Like, why would middle school boys be talking about, oh, that finger, like, let me see your hand, oh, that finger length? Okay, but when you know the truth, then those things make sense. Okay, but to go back to the dumb celebrity, there's too many examples of this stuff to even start to mention, but it explains where you live. So very recently, this is clearly set up. I'm sure. Why do you even have to put the word lady in your name? That's like the oldest trick in the book. Think of like drag queens name themselves lady, whatever. You gotta try so hard. And so Lady Gaga does have a penis. This is just a known thing. There's videos of it popping out at concerts because these people are sick freaks and they get off on stuff like that. But anyways, you can go look up this interview where not only does Sir Gaga blatantly just say, yeah, basically he admits to having a penis and says, who cares? And also says, nobody cares. My fans like it. They're into it. That's what Gaga says. And it's so true. So many people already know. Duh, it's not a secret for most people. It reminds me of this. Joan Rivers. Do you remember? So the thing that struck me so much about this particular video is when Joan Rivers is just like, it's okay, everybody knows, don't worry about it. That is the part of this Joan Rivers video to pay attention to. Of course, she's doing a little bit of muddying the waters, gatekeeping by calling Barack Obama gay instead of just saying. But the point of the Joan Rivers outing of Michelle Obama is that everybody knows, and it's not a big deal. That's what to take away from this. Yes, Michelle Obama is whatever, but it's not a big deal, and everybody knows. Everybody knows about the gay mafia in Hollywood, but really it's deeper than that. It's like a trans mafia, and gay really is like free martins for other free. So, but okay, the thing I will say about the muddying of the waters and Joan Rivers being like, oh, Michelle is trans and Barack's gay. At a certain point, and this is to try to rectify the way in times past, in the transvestigation heyday, in the witch hunt days of everybody's a tranny, things get muddied a little bit. And I think that people forget that it doesn't really matter what's in people's pants at the end of the day. And what matters is that they're a part of a secret society, a group of people who have always been deceiving, and that is the problem. What's in people's pants? Who knows? It's what I'm trying to say about this is you don't know what's in these people's pants. Some of these people have flipped back and forth like 3 times, and maybe Michelle Obama really was a woman and become, or were they a free martin, and now who cares? And I think that's just an important thing from Transvestigation. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what's in these people's pants. It's just about realizing that there's a parallel society, that it's really all about this big secret of the 4 types of people, and the fact that everybody basically is gay, trans, queer in some way or another if they're on the world stage, and they all know. No big deal. Birds of a feather flock together. No big deal. And it's not like this. Sure, some of these people, they like doing stuff like this, but Transvestigation is not Eyes Wide Shut. Transvestigation is your screechy aunt with 0 body fat who won't leave the house without doing her makeup for 2 hours. That's Transvestigation. Look at this. Do you think that this is just, well, what's going on here in this still frame from this Peter Paul Almond Joy commercial? Sometimes you feel like a nut. And they got the skeleton. All right, that's enough for this introductory video. Please leave your questions about Transvestigation, and I'll do a question and answer video. God bless everyone.